Caitlin Clark hits the floor, and the entire WNBA goes into meltdown. Overnight, millions of fans vanished, ticket sales collapsed, and sponsors started pulling the plug. This isn't just a superstar getting injured, it's the start of a massive boycott, a viewership freefall, and a league in full-blown panic mode. How did it get this bad? Who's really to blame? And the biggest question of all, can the WNBA survive without Caitlin Clark? Buckle up, the fallout has just begun.
I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but
The WNBA is spiraling into a financial disaster, watching powerlessly as everything they've built collapses in real time without Caitlin Clark on the floor. Once hailed as their savior, Clark is now sidelined, injured, while the very league she revived from near irrelevance repeats the same reckless mistakes. Despite being the reason for their sudden surge in popularity, they've done little to safeguard her. This is not just mismanagement, it's self-destruction. As their biggest attraction lies hurt on the bench, the WNBA's refusal to evolve, to face hard truths, and to protect their top investment is bleeding them dry by the millions. And still, they act like nothing's wrong, stubbornly marching toward irrelevance, while their one shining star is forced to watch from the sidelines.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In a world dominated by clickbait headlines and endless online outrage, truth is harder to find in a sold-out WNBA game without Caitlin Clark. Her quad injury on May 24th pulled the curtain back on the uncomfortable reality. This league stands on her shoulders. The moment she was sidelined, everything shifted. Viewership tanked, interest dipped, and now, as she sits out yet again with a groin injury and no clear return date, the same story is playing out again like a bad sequel. The WNBA's over-reliance on Clark isn't just a flaw, it's a ticking time bomb. And every second she's not playing, the damage multiplies.
Went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th, national TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
National broadcasts of WNBA games have collapsed, with viewership plunging an astonishing 55%, and games featuring Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever taking a brutal 53% hit. When she played, they drew a solid 1.81 million viewers. Without her, that number nosedived to just 847,000. These numbers aren't just disappointing, they're catastrophic. But what's truly absurd is how utterly predictable this was. It's the same cycle over and over again. The league fails to learn, fails to adapt, and fails to protect the only player driving real national interest. What should have been a golden age is turning into a crisis, and the WNBA is still acting like everything's fine. While Caitlin Clark was out rewriting the rules of women's basketball, filling arenas, smashing TV ratings, and generating revenue no WNBA player has ever touched, the league itself was busy doing what it always does, absolutely nothing to protect the star keeping them afloat. You'd think that when one athlete is responsible for over 26% of your entire league's economic output, the first thing you do is protect her like gold. But instead, the WNBA handed her over to defenders with a license to injure and turned around to lecture everyone else on what's considered a basketball play. The timing couldn't be worse. The league is heading into a critical CBA negotiation year, a rare chance to transform how much WNBA players earn across the board. But how do you expect to demand higher salaries when your audience evaporates the moment your most marketable player limps off the court? Caitlin Clark went down, and viewers went with her. Not just casual fans, boycotters. People turning off the TV on purpose, refusing to support a league they believe has disrespected both Clark and her massive fan base. And here's what's maddening. This has happened before. The WNBA has already felt the sting of losing its brightest star and watching ratings and revenue nosedive. Yet here we are again, touching the same hot stove, pretending it's a surprise when it burns. Clark has now suffered 2 injuries in barely a month of regular season play. First a left quad strain, now a groin injury. And if you think this isn't serious, think again. That's how chronic injury patterns start. Everyone's hoping the Fever sits her for her own safety, because the last thing anyone wants is for Clark to become the WNBA's Anthony Davis. Injury-prone and overused too early.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
The fallout? Brutal. Ticket prices are collapsing faster than the league can recover. Courtside seats that once cost $860 now go for $250. In some markets, prices fell from $1,370 to just $80. Road games that were moved to larger arenas just to meet Clark-level demand are now ghost towns. One of the season's most hyped matchups, Fever versus Chicago Sky, saw resale prices crash from $210 to $95. Just weeks ago, that same matchup drew 2.25 million viewers, one of the most watched games in WNBA history. Without Clark, just another game. No buzz, no demand. Congratulations, WNBA. You're about to watch your ratings drop by 55-60% again. And this time, you might actually succeed in breaking the one player who saved you. Christine Brennan, veteran journalist and author of the upcoming book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, has been relentless in holding the league accountable. She summed it up perfectly. People are watching like never before, and this is what they see. Her words hit hard. The WNBA has all the data. It knows Caitlin Clark pulls in over half of the league's television audience, yet still allows her to be hacked, shoved, and slammed to the floor with barely a whistle in her defense. It's like owning a 5-star restaurant and letting customers harass the chef who cooks the only meal anyone actually comes to eat. You think this is an exaggeration? Think again. Even Tiger Woods didn't have this level of impact on golf ratings. Michael Jordan missing a game might have caused a dip, 5%, maybe. Clark's absence tanks entire broadcasts. She's not just a star. She is the WNBA's lifeline. Let's not sugarcoat it. Clark is being targeted. The league has already handed out 30 flagrant fouls this year. 5 of them were against Clark alone, and 80% of those came from the Chicago Sky. When she retaliates, she's called aggressive. When she doesn't, she's called soft. It's a lose-lose scenario that the WNBA has created and refuses to fix.